It's the Sports Peninsula podcast coming up. We'll continue our coverage of the draft prospects for the upcoming 2025 NFL draft being held in Green Bay this April. In this episode, we'll discuss the prospects at safety. This is a solid group of prospects this year, and the Detroit Lions could very well be in the market for help here, with Iffy Melifonwu leaving via free agency and Kerby Joseph in the last year of his deal. We'll talk about the group and break them down for you next. Now, here is your Sports Peninsula team. Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Peninsula podcast. My name is Dave Jasinski Drew. I'm joined by Coach Andy Shield, and we're going to be talking NFL draft prospects about the safeties this year in this 2025 draft. Coach, how you doing?
Doing well, Drew. Doing well here. This position, we talked about corners last week, and thank you for everybody that is taking a peek and looking at it. I hope you are finding it to be a resource for your draft preview. This one, I think, hits home a little bit more, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like we said in the intro, Melifonwu was gone. They have Joseph and Branch back there, and they've got some depth now. But Kerb, I don't know if they can re-sign him next year, Coach, and that's going to be a hole.
Somebody somewhere is not getting re-signed. We don't know where that could be. But we've reached that point with the group. That we're going to continue to extend people. That's going to happen, but some guys are not going to get extended. And we are going to have to start recycling players. Could the safety position be one of those? I think without even saying that, I would love to find a way to get Kerby Joseph back. And there is a way to do that. And it's probably not by re-signing Jameson Williams. But that being said, we need to add to this group. Iffy Melifonwu was a person 2 years ago that had a prominent role on this team. And we have also had some guys that are not back that filled big special teams roles. In fact, we've signed a couple of players in Avonte Maddox and our new linebacker as well that we got from the Colts as a special teams, dynamo. So, we've got some roles to fulfill, and I think we could be looking at a safety.
Yeah. And then, will it happen on day one? Probably not, but day 2 or 3 absolutely are very much in play. Coach, it's a good group. I would say it's not, I wouldn't say there's a can't miss in here, but there's some really good possible day one guys in here. It's a deep group. Let's take a look at our top 20 here. Break it down for us. Yeah,
before we go counting down backward, from 20 to 1, you're right. And we lay these slides out like this for your perusal. I know for a lot of these guys, we don't cover them per se, in detail. About half of them we do, usually. But there are, if you look at this in tiers, in this group, we've talked about a lot of groups that basically the first 2 lines could be first-round draft picks. I would say maybe the first 2 players in the first line could be first-round draft picks. Yeah. Then from here, it can start to mix and match. Do any of these guys get into day 3? Some of these guys will. Majority of what you see here, though, I think are going to be day 2 players. I would say the majority of them, not, that's to say maybe 11 or so. Yeah. And then we're going to see a trickle down here. And it starts down in the right lower corner with Dean Clark of Fresno State. He is our 20th safety on the SPP big board for safeties. Real intriguing player is a Maryland Terrapin football player and lacrosse player is Dante Trader Jr., dual sport kid. Who knows? Maybe we'll see him playing professional lacrosse. In at 18 is another Big Ten player, Hunter Wooler from Wisconsin. 17, Kyton Crawford from Nevada. At 16 is Elijah Clark out of Syracuse. In at 15, Akili Arnold from USC. One of 2 Penn State safeties we're going to be talking about here. The first of which is Jalen Reed. He is the number 14 safety on the SPP big board. At 13, Craig Woodson from Cal. And at 12, RJ Mickens from Clemson. Number 11, one of our dark horses. Drew, you're going to be talking about him a little bit later. That's Malachi Moore out of Alabama. Really accomplished football player. And at 10, Caleb Ransaw out of Tulane. Definitely talking about, I think, day 2 picks here, Drew, from this point forward.
Yeah.
Jonas Sanker from Virginia, another one of our dark horses. We're going to be talking about him. He is in at 9. Into the featured group, Billy Bowman Jr. out of Oklahoma, big play guy. He is our number 8 safety. And at 7 is Sebastian Castro out of Iowa. And at 6, Lathan Ransom from Ohio State. Talked about a lot of Wolverines last year. Talked about a lot of Buckeyes this past year, Drew. Here's another one right even yet. Yeah. Our second Penn State safety in at number 5 is Kevin Winston Jr. Andrew Makuba from Texas, number 4. And this is a guy that I think we could talk about in a little bit as we get into detailing him, a guy that could look good in Honolulu blue and silver. We'll talk about him in a few minutes. And at 3, Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame, big-time player for the Notre Dame defense, real good player. Now, this is a guy I am really intrigued by. Yeah. Nick Emenwuri out of South Carolina. This is a Jihad Campbell-like player on the back end. I am very intrigued to talk about him and what his prospects are. And at number 1 on our list is Malachi Starks out of Georgia. He is the number 1 safety on the SPP big board.
Yeah, he's an outstanding player. We're going to talk about him. Let's break him down, Coach. Introduce him for us.
All right, yeah. Malachi Starks, we said 6', 197-pound junior out of the University of Georgia. He's a 5-star Jefferson, Georgia prospect. So he was an in-state player. He stayed home, went to Athens, played for Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs. 1.51, 10-yard split, 6'5" and 3/4 wingspan. So he's a long-arm, disruptive kid that way. 2-time All-American, 2-time All-SEC player. Another 2022 freshman All-American, 197 career tackles, 6 career picks, 23 career pass breakups and pass defenses. He is aligned in the deep as a deep safety over 1,100 reps, almost 1,200 reps. So this is a deep guy back there, but he's got some position versatility. He's also spent about 1,200 reps in either the box or the slot. So he's a universal safety prospect, Drew. He can play all 4 major safety alignments very, very well. This is a really, really intriguing player. This is a guy that could factor in on day 1.
Absolutely, Coach. I completely agree with that. He will be gone on day 1. I see him as, without question, a top 20 pick. He's a top 15 talent. Let's put it that way. But there's teams in the top 10 that just have bigger needs in the trenches and at some of the skill positions. And that's why Malachi Starks slips down the board, in my view. This is an outstanding football player. What do we like about him? He's an outstanding reader and communicator. And like you mentioned, he over 1,100, almost 1,100 reps in playing deep, and another 1,100 in the box. He can do it all back there. He's active and a productive run defender. So important. He's got a leap burst and downhill tracking trigger. I mean, he's got a nose for the football, and he can get it done. He's only a 9.4% whiff rate, so pretty good. Anything like you had said in previous episodes, Coach, anything under 10% is pretty solid, and Malachi Starks is that. And I'm not concerned about, well, how come it's not lower than that? Well, he makes big plays, and you articulated that earlier. So it's going to happen at times, but Malachi Starks is a pretty disciplined football player. He's a fluid mover. He easily can change direction. So the athleticism and the length, it's all there. He's a total package back there. High-end ball skills. He's a winner in contested areas. He's 6'1", but he's got that 6'5.5" wingspan, and he can jump. I mean, like I said, he's a handful back there for offenses, and you would love to have him on your defense. He's fast and physical. He can shed and destroy blocks well. So that's the key there. Yeah, a lot of guys can shed him, but he destroys blocks too, and you can see it on tape. And just an excellent zone safety. Coach, there's a lot to like about Malachi Starks. It's not perfect. No one is. What do you see he needs to work on, or maybe some red flags?
Definitely, I think, more comfortable playing deep than he is pressing and covering in the box. Although, he has a lot of reps in both, but he flies from the back end. And it kind of goes without saying, too. I mean, you can, because you have to run up and move around when you're on the deep end. The ball's not just going to come to you. Where if you are pressing, or if you're in the slot or over the slot, your drop is going to look a lot different, and you're not going to move around as much. But he definitely looks more comfortable and seems to be more comfortable on the back end. He can be a bit of what they call a biter. Okay, and what that is on play action pass, that's PA. Where the ball fake comes down, they come biting hard on the run. They come really hard on the run. All of a sudden, it's booting out the other way or getting pulled up, and there's a drag or a route the other way that he's not there to help on, and it's wide open. We struggled with that with the Detroit Lions at times. Play action pass absolutely killed some of Aaron Glenn's defenses at times. And we're pretty happy with our safety play. So good safeties can be biters. This is a guy that's going to have to work on that as well. He can be a little too reliant on his own physical ability, and that's something that a lot of these skill position kids are going to be. That's what it's like when they transition from high school to college. That was the same way then. And you know what? Some of them are so talented they can continue to do with it, even at a high level like the University of Georgia. He is going to have to become more technical and more sound within his scheme responsibilities. He can be a little late to the party. His response, he can be kind of triggering, maybe kind of getting gazy or starey and miss the boat at times a little bit, and plays just kind of happen around him. Not a good thing for a safety. It's also very, very difficult. You're out on an island. Like I said, definitely an under 10 whiff rate for a safety is pretty good because they are off the ball. They're out on an island. They're making plays in space almost all the time. And that's a very easy place to miss a tackle. Well, it's real easy to kind of get caught in the wash and kind of stared out. That's how guys run past you on deep routes. That has happened to a little bit for Malachi Starks. He's got to refine his triggers in both the run and the pass. Going to have to be clean and accurate and fast at them. That's if Malachi Starks does that, his trajectory will continue to go up, and he's going to be just where everyone wants him to be. He can't be over reliant on his recovery speed all the time. He's got to be a good, accurate trigger and make the right call. Press man could take a little time. It could take a little time. And that's okay. That's okay. He can work off the back end the vast majority of the time too. And who knows? That might be where he sits in. But Malachi Starks, way more to like than not. And he's a fine prospect, Drew. Like I said, I tend to agree with you. A lot of models have him going now in the top 20. Or even like in and around 20. But yeah, he seems to be a first round pick.
Yeah, and again, that's not a reflection on his skills. It's just the needs of the teams in the top 20.
Different from year to year.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, what I like about Starks is I think he's also a very safe pick. He's going to start for you. He's going to contribute right away, and he's going to contribute at a high level. Now, he could become an all-pro, perennial all-pro. But at the very least, he's going to be a very solid football player for many years. I just think he's money. I don't think he'll be there at 28 at all for the Lions. So I haven't put much thought into him, to be honest with you. I just figured he won't be there. If somehow he happened to be there, he'd have to be considered, no question.
For sure.
Not saying they would pull the trigger, but they certainly would be looking at him. So, yeah, really good prospect, Malachi Starks. We're going to see him for a lot of years in the NFL. Our number 2 prospect, Nick Imanwori out of University of South Carolina, 6'3", 220-pound junior. And this is a safety. Sounds like a linebacker. He's a safety. From Irmo, South Carolina. He's a native there. And this is what opened eyes on at the combine, the 4.38 40, 1.49 10-yard split, 43-inch vertical leap, 11.5-foot broad jump, and a 6'6 3/4 wingspan. This is a big, athletic, talented safety. He was an All-American 2024, All-SEC, and SEC Player of the Year in 2024, and also SEC Defensive Player of the Year. He was a 2022 Freshman All-American, 244 career tackles, coach, and 28 career pass breakups and defenses, 6 career interceptions. This man's got it together. Nick Imanwori, if I could say it correctly, is a talented one. No, it's not. But I tell you what, I'll get used to it if I could see him in Honolulu blue and silver, coach, because I love this guy. What do you like about him?
I like the way you're thinking there, Drew. Drew, this is Calvin Johnson athletically. He has Calvin Johnson's athletic ability.
Yeah. He's only a couple inches shorter.
He's just a little, that he is him as an athlete. I mean, 11'6" broad jump.
Great.
We're featuring guys at 10'6".
Yeah.
He's got a foot on them. He is a giant in frame for a safety. He is just a physical giant. To call him a freak athlete is a massive understatement. He has Calvin Johnson's athletic ability. This is perhaps the most athletic player in this draft from a measurable standpoint. Melifonwu may be the most athletic. 2.2 career whiff rate as a safety. So he does not miss tackles. And he is a big hitter. Very productive special teams player, which is huge box for him to check. He's got elite ball skills. He's a 50-50 ball master. While he only has 6 picks, you see how many pass breakup and pass defenses he has. He's got he's got a ton of them. And there's some guys that we'll talk about that even have more. But he's got the best tackling radius in the dadgum draft, Drew. I mean, this is an impact defensive player. And he's a super physical run stopper. This is a guy that really is active on there, so he can really help you out in the box, and he's built for the box and doing those kinds of things. But he's a good football detective and play reader. You want him on the back end too, because he can see things so well and does things real well, and he's very comfortable in man coverage. So you can throw him in the slot. He'll go run with your slot and your tight ends all day long. He's very comfortable in doing so. Drew, this is an exceptional football player. And earlier on in some models we had seen, and some that are not so late, even like later February into the month of March, which we're just getting out of, that had Melifonwu maybe going to the Detroit Lions. I don't see how he's there at 28, but Drew, there might be a reason he could be. What are some of those things?
Yeah, I mean, as athletic and talented as he is, he does need to become a better zone coverage safety. It's not something he's going to work on, I'm sure. And a lot of NFL teams play zone. The Lions are an exception that play mostly man. Most teams play a lot of zone, or at least have a lot of zone packages. So he's going to have to be able to play that. Sure, he can, but it's not a given. It's easier said than done, certainly. But he certainly has the ability to do it. But he's gonna have to be coached up a little bit there. And he can be linear in movement. You see it on tape. So I mean, he's getting kind of a straight line guy. Now, mind you, he's a freight train. But yeah, at the end of the day, that could get exposed with quicker little slot receivers. They're gonna go run out patterns or run crossing routes that could mess with him a little bit. He's extremely reliant on his physical size and ability. We get that, and we hear that about a lot of these super talented players that happens. The hope is, and you want to be able to see it on tape too, that they're going to be able to break away from that and just play real sound fundamental football. I believe he can, but the tape is the tape, and that's what we see a lot of. Is he's very reliant on his physical size and ability. He's going to have to make sure he's brushing up on his technique too. Gets over aggressive and misfires easily. Now he has an outstanding career whiff rate. However, by misfiring, if you get over aggressive, you're over committing. Like Coach was talking about earlier, when he said play action. If he bites on that too much, I mean, teams are going to pick on him all day long. So he's got to be careful there. Trust his athletic ability. In my mind, there's no, as athletically gifted as he is and strong as he is, there's no need for that. And I think the coaches are going to drive that in and wherever he's at. Maybe in Allen Park, but I doubt it. But a guy can dream, right? Does not move quite as fluidly as some of the other prospects. So very fast, very strong, very physical, not so twitchy. But again, that is an issue potentially. And is he a scheme, the dream prospect, or a big box safety? That's to be determined. But I'll tell you what, Coach. Overall, a part of me really likes him almost better than Starks, but I think Starks is just the more complete package. But if you want, like you said, pure athletic ability and effective football playing, you might not find one better than Melifonwu in this draft. Your thoughts?
Yeah, like, and what we mean by scheme to dream is kind of like, the idea of using Jihad Campbell as a linebacker edge type guy, where you could do all sorts of different things with him. Nick Emenworry could be kind of a coordinator's muse as well, and you could kind of dream up the perfect scheme to use him in, and use him in a multitude of ways. That's what pops off for me. And I've kind of given up the fact, and during the process here, that Jihad Campbell is just not going to be around for us, because he would be in many, many ways, I think, if he were an ideal pick for what he could bring to the table. Now, Nick Emenworry, you have a guy with this kind of athletic ability, with some uncertainty in the long term, as you had stated earlier, at the safety position. And also we have to look at Alex Anzalone too. How many times are we going to be bringing him back here soon? This is a guy that, at his size could do some things as a slot type safety, really, that kind of has almost aligned like a linebacker. And I would be keenly and excited if Nick Emenworry were called to the Detroit Lions. I think he's going higher. I think his athletic ability is just too prime. We know of some guys that have slid down this board for not having some of those athletic traits, or maybe what are now perceived are some football related issues, or even non-football related issues. Nick Emenworry doesn't have that to worry about. And this is a guy that I think is going to be on day one as well, Drew.
Yeah, I see Kyle Hamilton, who is
but even a bigger, more athletic version.
Yeah, exactly, from the Ravens. So and he was a guy that was projected as a top 10 safety. He ended up sliding back to I think 14 when Baltimore.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, lucky Baltimore. I mean, it's damn good football player. Yeah, I like Emenworry a lot. Yeah, I don't think he'll be there at 28. Too much talent there. Too much upside here to pass up on. Our number 3 safety prospect coach, who we got?
We got a guy from the University of Notre Dame, 6 foot, 203 pound senior Xavier Watts, Omaha, Nebraska native. And he was recruited to Notre Dame as a wide receiver. So this was one of the nation's top wide receivers out of high school that converted to safety right away at Notre Dame. He got there and they turned him into a safety, and he became a 2-time All-American and team captain for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. 880 plus reps deep, 625 plus reps in the box, 350 plus reps in the slot. So not unlike Malachi Starks, maybe not quite as much playing time. He hasn't gotten to play quite as much football as Starks has, but he's got a very similar repertoire in regards to he's got about over 1,000, or he got 975 clips in the box or the slot, and about 880, almost 900 deep. So he's played all the different positions as well. 188 career tackles, 8.5 career tackles for loss. So he spent some time blitzing and doing some things in the backfield. 49 career pass breakups and pass defenses. He was picked on, Drew. He was picked on, and he made a lot of plays. And he picked 13 of them off. This is a Kerby Joseph type player, Drew. This is a Kerby Joseph type player. Kerby Joseph was drafted in the 3rd round. And this is the type of player Xavier Watts looks like to me.
Yeah, and I like that C on his jersey too. That speaks volumes there too. Exactly. Well, I want to talk about what we like about Xavier Watts. Well, he brings tremendous scheme and alignment position versatility, and you touched on it, Coach. All those reps and all those different packages, and the fact that he's able to get into the backfield, make tackles for loss. He can do it all back there. Xavier Watts is a Swiss Army knife as a safety. He can do everything that you need as a safety or want out of a safety. Elite special teams player with the Fighting Irish. So the guy at Suicide Squad is not afraid to play there either. He's a very talented player, and he's a team guy. Great block shedder and destroyer. He's physical and competitive, whether it's in man or zone coverage. He, again, so versatile. It's just, I'm not sure there's a safety as versatile as Xavier Watts in this draft. He can do so many things. his wide receiver mentality, it does show up on tape. He's an outstanding route recognition. So that's invaluable. He's a top of the class ball hawk, knows for the football. The stats show it. And the thing is, like you said, Coach, he was picked on. Quite often you'll see the top college corners and safeties won't have those numbers because, quite frankly, the teams avoided them. And that's a fact, and you'll see it on tape. But Xavier Watts, he did get tested and he showed up. Physical downhill run defender, love that. Very intuitive play reader. So again, the route recognitions, he understands offenses very well. Being a former receiver, again, it's invaluable. And just he explodes through contest and contact. Anytime anyone's in his way, he's going to make a play. He's going to figure out a way to get there. I love his leadership and football IQ, Coach. Xavier Watts is a very good football player. What do you see he needs to work on?
Well, of the first two players we talked about, they were elite athletes. Xavier Watts, there's a little bit of a downshift in his athletic ability as compared to Nick Emenwari and Malachi Starks. He's not quite the same athlete as them. So, yep. I mean, in saying that, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve here in regards to him being a true NFL pro man cover safety. If he's playing out in the slot or even if they're in cover one and he's got to pick somebody up, even if he's deep. And he's also got to be a pro zone guy as well. There's going to be a little bit of a learning curve here. And I think as we play speed and the dynamics of the athletes, there's going to be an adjustment period too. He's got to become a pro tackler. He's maybe not quite as efficient as Malachi Starks or Nick Emenwari as a tackler as well. He cannot be over. He cannot afford to be over reliant on his physical talents. Where the other two gentlemen still might be able to get away with it a little bit, even at the NFL level. That's how athletic they are. So, he gets over aggressive because, and he speeds himself up and he's going to overrun his plays and those kinds of things. So, I mean, and that those are testaments to a guy that sometimes is playing at or around his nose level in regards to the ability out on the field. So he's just got to become more calculated and more technical across the board. He's just not quite the fluid mover that Starks is, even though he can be a little bit linear as well. I mean, he's Nick Emenwari may have some of those similar stiffness in regards to his fluid mobility too, but he runs a 4.38. So I mean, he can really clip it up a little bit too. He's shown that he's been a biter on play action as well, too. So I mean, all these things cultivated together, Drew. We're not quite talking about the same athlete as the other two players that we've previewed. He's an exceptional football player, though. He's an exceptional football player. That's why he does go into day two, and it's going to be early. I would love to, if somehow he was at 60, I could, and we haven't done anything in moving up, and we stay at 28, we can put off that interior offensive line or edge rusher another set of picks if we decided to go with a guy like Xavier Watts.
Yeah, that's a great point, Coach. I just you can't this guy just loves football. You can see it in how he plays. He's a leader. He's aggressive. Yeah, he's going to be a very, very solid football player. His floor is a little lower than Starks and Emenwari in the sense that he, like you say, he's not as athletic, but his ceiling is pretty high. I mean, he could become a very, very good NFL player. Day two sounds right, and round two sounds accurate too, Coach, in my mind too. So yeah, Xavier Watts a really good one. Let's talk about our number 4 prospect here. We go to the University of Texas. Andrew Makuba, 6 foot, 190 pound senior, our number 4 prospect on the board. He is an Austin, Texas native by way of Zimbabwe. So that's interesting. But yeah, he's from Austin. He transferred from Clemson. He ran a 4.45 40. He was all ACC and 2021 freshman All-American at Clemson. He was all SEC at Texas. He had nearly 900 reps deep, over 650 reps in the slot. He has 281 career tackles, 63 career pass defenses, 12 and a half career tackles for loss and 11 career interceptions. Andrew Makuba gets it done. He's got a nose for the football, coach. He's a really solid football player. What do you like about him?
I like him a lot. He's got a lot of traits of Xavier Watts, but maybe just a hair faster. Just a hair faster. He's a great natural athlete. And this is a guy that's got a little bit more of the fluid movement skills that you like to see match and mirror these fluid moving wide receivers. So he has a little bit more of this in him. Another great ball tracker and ball contester, very similar to Watts in that regard, because they're very similar sized players as well. He's an excellent decision maker in zone coverage. He's calculated. He's been coached as a zone cover guy at University of Texas, and again, he played for Brent Venables at Clemson and learned some phenomenal things there as well. He's very good in zone. He does a nice job and is a good decision maker in it. Very responsible and dependable run defender. He's there. He makes those plays, which if he were to be considered by Brad Holmes and company, that's going to have to be a box that's checked. He certainly does that. Plays real hard and downhill against the run or the flat. He's going to come up there and mean it. He's going to close ground and close things off and get there. He's scheme and alignment versatile, primarily deep and in the slot. He's 6 foot, 190 pounds. He's not going to pack up 200 plus, and play in the box and be able to press up and hang out over a tight end. That's not going to be his forte, although he could do that in a vertical route for sure. Could very easily, actually. He's an excellent play reader and QB reader. This is a guy that I think there is potential there, Drew, at 60.
Yeah.
That's a lot of value. That's a lot of value at pick number 60. And I would really like Andrew Makuba there. This is a guy that I've watched all season and thought of as a potential Lion type player. That being said, he is number 4 on our board. What's up with that, Drew? Yeah.
So like you touched on, he's probably a little more athletic than Watts, and his numbers are very comparable and actually just maybe a smidge better than Watts. But here's the issue. He's a bit of a riverboat gambler at times. And again, we've said this about other guys. You see it a little bit more with Makuba. He can freelance from responsibilities to try and make plays. That's to me the difference between Watts and Makuba. Watts a little more disciplined in that regard. Makuba's got to get there. That in the NFL, if you're not disciplined, if you don't have gap discipline, coach, you're not going to be in the league for long. And it just is what it is. I mean, we've seen some really good recent players in Detroit. Like Jared Davis always comes to mind, the linebacker from Florida. Outstanding football player, just no gap discipline. It just didn't click for whatever reason, and that's not going to get it. So Makuba's got to work on that. Not saying he can't fix it, but it's definitely an issue. Not the biggest NFL frame, 6 foot 190. He's about 5 pounds more than me, coach. So that's not. But he's a little bit more athletic than me, so I think he can hang. But yeah,
a little younger.
Yeah, a little younger too. But yeah, like you said, he's not going to be lining up over a tight end and in the box every snap. But not that he can't do it. But again, he's not as versatile as Emawari is, obviously, with his size. He needs to get pro strong. He's got to become an NFL caliber tackler. So again, he's not that he's not a good tackler. He is, but he's got to get better because the size difference is going to come into play more dramatically in the NFL when you're facing receivers that are probably 6'3", 220 pounds at times. You're gonna have to definitely be able to wrap up and take guys down quickly. Needs to really get away from being that gamble and guess processor. He's got to be able to recognize and process pre-snap a lot better and be able to, and try to avoid that. Now, you don't want to take that out of a guy's game because that's what makes great players great. They have that instinct. They can gamble and make great plays. It's just it's not Vegas night on every snap. That's what you can't have. So will NFL size and physicality and strength be an issue? It could. Right now, I mean, unless he can show that he's going to get NFL strong, pro strong, it will be. But I have confidence. I think Makuba will be a good one. And I agree with you. I think if he's there at 60, he's definitely in consideration for the Lions. Any last thoughts on Makuba?
Yeah, and in the photo there, we've got another guy that we previewed. Number 7 there is Jade Barron, one of our corners that we previewed last episode, Drew.
Mhm.
But for me, it all comes down to that last question in the weakness category. If the answer is no to that question, and then that's including all 3, facets there.
Yep.
Sign me up. Sign me up. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I am very intrigued as to where Andrew Makuba goes. It's day 2. It's certainly day 2. Is it 33, 34, 35, 36, or does he come down the line a little bit? It's wide open, but I'm very intrigued. I really, really like him.
He's a real good football player. It's going to be really interesting to see where he ends up on draft day. So we'll be definitely watching him. Let's talk about our number 5 prospect, Coach. Who do we got?
We've got Kevin Winston Jr., 6'2", 208-pounder from Penn State. He's a junior, 4-star prospect out of Columbia, Maryland. He went to DeMatha Catholic Prep High School. Caleb Williams, it's a phenomenal basketball history at that place, but that is an elite athletic program there at that private school down in the Washington, D.C. area. 2023 All Big Ten player, partially tore his ACL during practice and during week 2 this year. So he's not played a lot of football in quite some time. So this is another one of these prospects. Now, he did it very early on, Drew. He did it early on in the season. So there's a likelihood he is going to be working through his rehab and being somewhat available at camp. Might start PUP, might start on that short-term IR and be a guy that can come back week 2, week 3. But that is something that we're going to have to look at with Kevin Winston Jr. 58.9% of his reps were deep. About 23.6% of his reps were in the box, and roughly 14% of his reps were in the slot. Outside of that, they blitzed him. So, that doesn't add up to 100. Well, then the other times he was blitzing. Or he was actually in man cover, like in a different alignment. So, which does happen sometimes for safety. But this is a guy that was moved around a little bit too. About 37% of the times was spent outside of the box, or was spent inside the box. I'm sorry, was not deep. So, very versatile prospect here, Drew. Just is a little banged up.
Yeah, and certainly that's why he's at number 5. But what we do like a lot of things about him. First and foremost, outstanding closing, tracking, recovery capability. So, again, when you talk about great players, we'll gamble a little bit, but Kevin Winston Jr. has the ability to maybe pull that off a little bit, but has the ability to recover. And his tracking he's kind of a ball hawk. I mean, he's a very good football player, phenomenal tackling radius, 6'2", 208, really kind of prototypical size for a safety. He's got that NFL frame and length. He's physical and gritty as a player. Has strong press coverage skills. 14% of his reps in the slot. That tells you right there. He has strong press cover skills. He's very good in zone coverage too. Essential in the NFL, like you said earlier, for a couple of the prospects, Coach. He's as good of a run stopper that there is in this draft. That's huge. Lot to like there, and really a violent lead to effort mentality on every snap. And his aggressiveness, it's just again, he's got a lot going for him back there. Aside from the injuries, which I know we're going to touch on in a little bit, he can take on and destroy blocks really well, and I got to say this very carefully, has never missed a tackle opportunity at Penn State. Coach, this is a pretty good football player, and if not for the injury, I don't know where we would have him necessarily, but he would be higher than 5. But there are some concerns, and let's talk about him.
Yeah, whiff rate of 0.
That's amazing.
That's now. We'll get to that though. We're going to get to that. Well, and first thing, and it was mentioned in his bio that he did tear his ACL, or partially tore his ACL, leading into the West Virginia game. Or no, I think leading into the Bowling Green game is he played against West Virginia, got hurt leading into the Bowling Green game, so he barely played football this year. And it was a heck of a year. I mean, Penn State had a nice year. Just but imagine if this guy was who's back there wreaking havoc as a safety.
No
But
doubt.
he's only played in 28 games. I mean, they play 12 games on average. If you make a bowl 13 games, and that's if you play 2 seasons of 13 games, that's 26. So really, he's only played in about 2 seasons because of injury, and 13 of those are starts. So he's not played a ton of football at the high level. He is a better run defender than he is in man coverage. His run portfolio speaks for itself. This is also a guy that's bitten a lot on play action, and the play action pass, and some of he's so aggressive wanting to get into the mix that he'll take himself out of plays from time to time. He can be pretty linear in his movements, and a guy that's coming off of an ACL, that's that ability to shift and change direction anyway, is going to be kind of, that's going to be a little tender. We're going to wonder if he's leaving a little bit more linear even yet. Doesn't possess the greatest ball skills. We just talked about a couple of guys in Xavier Watts, and Andrew Kuba that have great ball skills. They make plays on the ball. Kevin Winston makes plays on the body. He wants to run through you. And there's nothing wrong with that other than pass interference on the defense. That can happen a little bit if your timing's not right. So, he has not been a major force against the pass at all in his career. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of numbers there, which means he's a little bit of a body of work there too. And the question really beckons is he ready? Is this guy ready for football? Could he have gone one more year? Should he have come back and done one more? He's already taken the knee, and you can't take another one. That's going to hurt you too. So it's kind of a catch-22 for Kevin Winston Jr. But the concern is he ready to do this? Because he surely has not shown the strength and pass coverage that some other safety prospects has.
Yeah, he's an interesting prospect. I mean, I think he's one of those guys that has a higher ceiling but a pretty low floor. I mean, first and foremost, those medicals got to be there. He's got to be fully recovered, and teams are going to have to do their homework there. And just the injury alone is hurting his draft stock. Yeah. You almost think a guy like Kevin Winston Jr. might have benefited from another year in school, especially with the NIL.
Yeah, he can make the money.
Yeah, so it may have been the better decision, but you know what? I mean, it's obvious a lot of people are in his ear telling him you're going to be likely a day 2 guy.
He can make even more money.
Yep, and so again, I can't really speak to. I don't know how fit he is at this point in his recovery, so it's hard to say. But I do like him a lot. But yeah, he's got some limitations too. So I'm not sure if it's a fit in Detroit at this point, and I would venture to say probably not. But I think he's got a hell of a shot at being a pretty good football player in the NFL. Coach, I just there's a lot of ifs there, and I think that's the thing. So we shall see. Our number 6 prospect. Now we're going to go to the Ohio State University yet again. Lathan Ransom, the 6'1", 210-pound senior, 4-star prospect from Tucson, Arizona. Pretty strong guy, Coach. 20 reps on the bench with 225. Not bad. Not bad at all for a safety. He's part of that national championship team this past season. 3-time All Big Ten player. Over 1,000 reps deep, 700 plus reps in the box, and 350 plus reps in the slot. So this is another safety that can do a lot of things back there. He's versatile. 218 career tackles, 15 career tackles for loss. I like this, 6 career forced fumbles. He hits hard, and he's a ball hawk. Coach, a lot to like about Lathan Ransom. What do you like specifically?
He's played a lot of football at the Ohio State University. He's played in a ton of big games. He's a high-level competitor. He comes from a high-level program with expectations. He played right away. He played a lot as a freshman. So this is a guy that can get out on the field and get out on the field early for you in the NFL. He's an excellent blitzer. That's what Iffy did so well here. That's a true trait as a safety. That's a good thing to be able to have. he's capable of making plays and on the other side of the line of scrimmage. He's very comfortable doing some things over there and being back there and playing up and pressing up into the box and doing some different things and coming off of the edge and squeezing down and playing the run, all those kinds of things. Lathan Ransom is very comfortable in doing it. He's a turnover creator, 4-6 fumbles. And that's not just it. I mean, we talk about picks, he did all sorts of things. He creates turnovers. This is a big play guy on defense. He's alignment and scheme versatile. Like we said, he does handle himself well at the line of scrimmage. Maybe more so than most of the prospects we've talked about. And that makes him alignment and scheme versatile. Special teams phenom. And that all 32 teams should circle his name because of that. This is a kid that can really run down on special teams, groups. Big time run supporter, man. I'm a fan. I'm truly a fan, and he's a value pick too because I think he comes in and around some areas where we could get him. Going to be a reason for that though, Drew. What's up?
Yeah, it's the medicals here. Really a significant injury history: a broken leg in 21, a Lisfranc foot fracture in 23. That one concerns me more than the leg. I've
seen that do careers.
Yeah, that Lisfranc is an issue. The broken leg, I mean, that was 4 years ago now, and I'm sure he's good now. Just like we know Hutch will be too, right, in Detroit. So, but that Lisfranc injury is a concern. It's that's a difficult one to recover from, and it's a difficult one to get 100% again. So let's hope that he is. He had a bigger impact against the run and in special teams than the pass at OSU. Now, again, the perception in it, and rightfully so, a defensive back's got to be good against the pass. Now, we're not saying he's not, but he's definitely stronger against the run and in special teams than he has been against the pass. So that's something, that there's other safeties above him that are better in pass coverage that we've talked about. He does struggle transitioning from the run to pass and left to right. That's a concern. So when you're struggling athletically like that, coach, you got to be a hell of a processor back there. So he's going to have to be able to make sure that he understands where he's limited physically, that he is processing and he's showing gap discipline and doesn't make mistakes back there. I think he can do that, but he's got to work on it. He's still a work in progress in all coverage facets, quite frankly. He's got to refine as a tackler, got to get better technique and be more of a sure tackler. He's not made many plays on the ball versus the pass. So again, that's kind of the big red flag with Ransom. His safety skills are a work in progress. And I guess here the question is he strictly a special teams ace? Because if he's seen as such, coach, he probably slips to day 3. If he's not, he's likely a later day 2 guy in round 3 because of the injury. He's a guy that athletically could go in round 2, but he also could slip to day 3 in my view. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, he's really like a more accomplished Kevin Winston. In a lot of ways. Very, very similar player. And he also very similar track record, but he did stick around and he's had a decorated career at Ohio State. His calling card may be on special teams and being a guy that comes in and is kind of a sub-package guy and a blitzer and those kinds of things and finds a niche role. I would agree with you that really his greatest value probably is in the 4th round, which would be the very beginning of day 3.
Yeah.
But he could go higher based off of some of his accomplishments and what people think they could use him at and maximize his potential. Worry about that Lisfranc as well. Although he played all this year and he bounced back and did a nice job. I like Lathan Ransom at the right spot. I really would like him.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice football player. We'll be interested to see where he ends up this year in the draft. Let's talk about our number 7 prospect, coach. Who do we got?
We've got Sebastian Castro out of Iowa. Staying in the Big Ten, Drew. 5'11", 203-pound senior out of Oak Lawn, Illinois. So he's a Chicagoland kid. Quarterback, safety, 2-way prospect in high school. He was a big-time quarterback in the state of Illinois. 2-time All-American, 2-time All-Big Ten selection, 1,700 reps in the slot alignment. So we're talking about a little bit more of a specific type safety here. Kind of using what you would call a nickel safety. 300 plus reps in the box. So this is not a guy that's been on the deep end very much. He's down in the box almost exclusively. 163 career tackles, 14 career tackles for loss, 32 career pass defenses, so he's still very productive there. 5 career forced fumbles. So this is another guy that's kind of a blitzer, box, slot type safety, Drew.
Yeah, and a nice football player. There's a lot to like about Sebastian Castro, and quite frankly, he's a good defensive detective. So he understands. He's a very good processor. I think he reads well in pre-snap. Playing predominantly in like in the slot, like you said, in the box. You got to be that way because he's not a big guy. He's 5'11", 203. So that serves him well. You can't take the reps that he took without having that processing capability. He's excellent play recognition and quarterback reading. He's physically aggressive, and he's very confident playing at the line of scrimmage, which is huge. He spent significant time in special teams, and his resume is huge at Iowa. He's a very good special teams player. He has a quarterback and a linebacker mentality in his football processing, which is a beautiful thing. He plays aggressively like a linebacker, even though he's smaller. But again, he's a quarterback in high school and a highly recruited one at that. So he understands offenses very well. He's a lineman and scheme versatile, like you mentioned earlier, Coach. He's got the mind of a quarterback in zone coverage. So again, that's invaluable. Football IQ. Anytime you can see the play happening 2 or 3 steps ahead, it will supersede any perceived issues physically or athletically. And really, he's a hard physical downhill run defender. And really, he physically engages blockers well, and he destroys blocks well. There's a lot to like about Castro's game, and he plays hard and physical. But there's also some issues here, Coach. What are they?
He's older. He's a little bit older than a lot of these kids. And this is a very violent game, and you only have so many hits in you. I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. And he's 24 years old, so he's a little further down the road in his football tenure. That's just he's going to have a little bit less shelf life because of it. He's not like you had mentioned. He's not a real long, levery guy. He's not real big. 5'11", 203. Smaller play radius to go with it. This is not a guy that's that didn't have quite the tackle radius and some of the things like a Nick Emenworry. He's a little bit more the other way, so he doesn't impact near as much field on defense as some of these other players. 17.8% career whiff rate. Now, he is a safety, so like we had said, that number can be a little bit higher. It doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad tackler. Yeah. But that is something that has to improve. His tackling must improve in order for him to be a substantive NFL player. He can play and he can bite too and be over aggressive at time, and he can misfire and take himself out of plays based on his over aggressive reads. That's something that he's got to eliminate. Clutches and grabs too much in coverage, and that's where I think that's where we see the true ding in Sebastian Castro is that is too much of a liability in that regard, because that's going to lead to a lot of yellow hankies. Does not possess the best speed. He's not the fastest kid. The NFL is a big step up for his athletic ability. So where his football play is what's going to get him drafted. Is this just another special teams ace too? Because you don't typically want to draft those guys too high. I'm not so sure that that's the case, Drew. I think he is a fine player. Just don't know where exact his fit is yet. I'm not quite sure. He's a little enigmatic to me as to where he's going to go.
I'll go on record right now as saying to this point, and we only have one group we haven't covered yet, which is the quarterbacks, which will be next week. He's to me, he's the most enigmatic player we've covered in the top 8 of every group, because there may be GMs that really like his mentality and what they see on tape, which is a lot of good stuff, like we talked about. Could be a day 2 guy. He could also be a mid-day 3 guy, because there's issues there, like you articulated, and and the height is what it is, the size is what it is, and to not be really fast with that frame, yeah, I mean, I guess if I look at it from just an impartial look, I think we have him right. I am partial, but I've seen him ranked as high as 5 in some boards for some prognosticators. I don't agree, and you don't either. He's too talented to put out of the top 10 at the position group. But again, I think he's feast or famine in a lot of ways. He very well could be just another special teams ace, which is 5th or 6th round value. You hope more, but I think at the very least, if you know going in that's what you're going to get, you're going to get a good football player who can help you in a pinch. He's going to be able to take some reps out there. He's going to play special teams all day long, and he will help you. He's just likely not going to be a starting safety, at least not immediately. And the fact that he's already 24, we'll see. But I'm a little lukewarm on Castro, but I do like a lot about him. He's a good football player, but I don't know if he's going to reach that ceiling. But I guess we'll see. That's what it's all about, right? Let's hit our number 8 prospect right now. Billy Bowman Jr., the safety out of Oklahoma, 5'10", 194. He's a senior, 4-star prospect out of Denton, Texas, and he ran a 4.42 40 with a 1.52 10-yard split. He was an All-American in 2023. He was All-SEC last year in 2024. He's a 2-time All-Big 12 player coach with over 1,100 reps deep, 600-plus reps in the slot, and another 450-plus reps in the box. So yet again, another safety that can do a lot of things. Castro and Bowman's resumes are very similar in that respect. 199 career tackles, 9 career tackles for loss, and also 11 career interceptions. So Billy Bowman Jr. has a nose for a football coach. What do you like about him?
He's a ball hawk. Now, he's not real big, 5'10", 194 pounds, but this kid has got great ball skills, very physical and tough player. He's an effort guy. So this is a coach's type player. Really like a guy like this. And he navigates himself very well to the point of attack. He's in and around that ball, run or pass, all the time at Oklahoma. So and he played for Brent Venables towards the end of his career. So it was a great defensive coach. If you don't know, he was the former Clemson defensive coordinator, former Oklahoma defensive coordinator as well. Now the Oklahoma head coach, and he's phenomenal at producing players. Billy Bowman Jr. is yet another one of them. He's got great burst and he's really functionally a fast player. So this is a guy that's ready for the NFL that way. Like you had mentioned in the bio, he's alignment and scheme versatile. He's box, slot, deep, wherever you want him. Not real big, but he can handle himself at all those alignments and within each scheme that you would be wanting to do in regards to coverage as well. Very, very good special teams player for the Sooners. That's going to be something that's going to be very helpful to Billy Bowman Jr. Real fluid kid. He matches and mirrors real well on routes. And he's a good play and quarterback reader as well. First-class ball skills, Drew. This is an elite ball hawk. I really, really like him. He's 5'10", 194, buddy.
Yeah, and that part segues perfectly because, the small frame is an issue, and it is what it is. 5'10", that's not very tall, and he's going to struggle because of that a little bit. A 25+% whiff rate. Now, again, like you touched on earlier, Coach, when you're a safety, you're kind of on an island a lot of times, but that's a lot. That has to improve. He struggles tackling in space, and that's pretty evident from that whiff rate. So that's got to improve. Significantly undersized for a prototypical NFL safety. We talked earlier, that's about 6'2", 210, 5'10", 194. It's a huge, big difference there. Needs a ton of work in the tackling department. He can get over-aggressive and over-trigger plays. Big tight ends, receivers, and running backs have given him trouble. That's not going to stop in the NFL. It's going to continue. Can he overcome the size limitations? I like his ball skills a lot better than Castro. I'll be honest with you. But they're both of similar size and stature. I like Castro better because he plays more to that than Bowman does. Can Bowman translate to the NFL as a full-time safety? It's possible. I don't know. We're going to find out, but I definitely see a solid day 3 pick, no question. He's going to help a team, especially on special teams right away, and he will be another guy that will help you and get some spot reps too. So a lot to like about Billy Bowman Jr., Coach. Let's talk about our dark horses. Here's your first one. Talk about him.
Yeah, my guy's Jonas Sanker from Virginia, 6 foot, 206 pound senior. So a little bit more of that physical, size and pedigree. That's a little bit more safety-esque. 4'4", 840. He's got a 6'6" wingspan and 6 foot tall kid. So I mean, this is another guy that's got some real disruptive traits physically. 1.51 on the 10-yard split, 10'8" broad jump. So this is a top end athlete, very good athlete. Team captain over for the Cavaliers. 2024 All-American. He's a 2-time All-ACC pick. 950 plus reps in the box, 700 in the slot, 600 deep. So, I mean, this is a guy that's done a lot of what you would call strong safety back in the day. But he's also, spent a lot of time on the deep end too, but over 1,600 reps in the box or in the slot, 273 tackles, 13 career tackles for loss, and 36 career pass defenses. Phenomenal play in quarterback reader. He doesn't bite much. He does a good job in that regard. There's not a lot of clips of that. Absolute Energizer Bunny on specials. Very productive blitzer. Real comfortable in the box. Okay, more so than in the deep end. So this is a guy that, again, that really does a real good job in the slot and the box. Struggles down the field. He's not real good on the deep end. Bigger tight ends and wide receivers have been an issue for him. Pretty linear athlete. So bit of a trick pony here. He has bitten, sometimes still, and that's a no-no because he has got to be excellent in that capacity. But Jonas Sanker is a real physical football player. Drew, he's going to find himself getting drafted in a couple of weeks here.
Yeah, and I think he's got a higher ceiling than a couple of guys we've talked about. I think if he can get it together, he's got a little more height on him, and he's a little better in coverage and not as much of a gambler. So I like Sanker a lot. Yeah, he could be a day 3 gem. We will see. I'm going to talk about Malachi Moore here, coach, the safety out of Alabama, the other safety out of Alabama, 6 foot, 201-pound senior, 4-star prospect from Trussville, Alabama. He played in 64 games for the Crimson Tide. He was an All-American in 2024 and All-SEC as well. Over 1,000 reps in the slot, 450 reps deep, 400-plus reps in the box, 214 career tackles, and 15.5 career tackles for loss. That's impressive. 31 career pass defenses and 7 career interceptions. He's a well-seasoned and skilled ball hawk. He's a lineman scheme versatile, seen by where he's lined up as a safety. He's an elite football processor and only a 6.8% career whiff rate. So got a lot going for him. He's a bit on the smaller side in his frame. Not as small as Castro, but he's not exactly prototypical either. Not a great block shredder or destroyer, so he can get swallowed up a little bit. He struggles with elite athleticism. He had season-ending surgery for an undisclosed injury, so that's a big question mark there. He has a concussion history. And, Coach, that's why he's a dark horse in my view, because there's a lot to like. Malachi Moore, if the medicals are good, he could surprise some people. So, lot to like there, too. But that'll do it for our prospects. We ran a little over time today, but that's okay. But your final thoughts before we wrap up.
Yeah, I think it's an intriguing group. I think there's some enigma to it. I mean, Malachi Moore do people view him as a Hemi engine with 180,000 miles on it, or do they see that elite football processor that he is? Does Kevin Winston go higher and based off of his ability? Do any of these guys slide as a result of any of their things like Sebastian Castro? Where does he wind up? So it's kind of an intriguing group that way. Yeah,
I agree. And I've actually had more mock to the Lions in like round 6, 7 quite often. So if he's there, then it's someone to look at. And I like Sanker too a lot. So it's good stuff. We got one more group to talk about next week. You can check us out every Saturday night at 7 p.m. on the ESEN network on Roku. And we're going to talk about the quarterbacks next week. And then we have our mock draft. And then April 24th is just around the corner for the NFL draft first round. So for Coach Andy Shield, I'm Drew. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you for supporting, and take care. We'll talk to you next week. This has been the Sports Peninsula Podcast. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Follow us on YouTube so you don't miss an episode at the Sports Peninsula Podcast. You can also follow us on Twitter X. Just look for @SportsP Podcast, and follow us to keep up on sports around the great state of Michigan and beyond. You can also catch our show every Saturday night at 7 p.m. on the ESEN Network channel as part of Roku. When you want to hear all about sports in the great state of Michigan, there is only one, Sports Peninsula Podcast.